Morning, everybody. So it's a nice toasty 27 degrees out here, but we're not going to let that stop us. We are back out here on Gracie, and I'm hoping that by the end of this video, we're going to see this thing run, and we're going to be doing a cam break-in on it. So let's take a look at what we got.
No, you're not bringing home another piece of junk.
Okay, so a lot done on this in the last week or so that I really didn't film. Just got a lot of stuff hooked up. Got the exhaust hooked up, had to do a little bit of modification on there, got the hydro boost hooked up. One thing I really struggled with was finding the right belt for this thing. When I bought this engine, I was told it was a 93, and the 93 belt for AC 454 with no air pump did not fit. It was too short. So I went back a few years, tried one of those. It didn't fit. It different pulley configuration. So it ended up being a 95 belt is what fit this thing. And a lot of the big difference was the tensioner was down here, and it is a groove tensioner. So on a lot of these Chevy big block and small block, the tensioner is up here, and it's a smooth pulley tensioner, and it pushes on the outside of the belt. Well, this is a groove tensioner, and it puts the tension on the inside of the belt. So pretty interesting difference there. But yeah, got wiring all hooked up and got that all figured out. So kind of the goal today is I got a brand new Quadrajet here in the box. We're going to swap that out. I just got the old one sitting on there because I was mocking up the had to make a throttle cable bracket, which is buried under there somewhere, and figure the fuel line out. So, and I did move the fuel pump back by the fuel tank. So a lot of the viewers on here said you need to move that fuel pump, and the more I thought about it, I thought, well, you're right, so I'm not going to be thick-headed. I'm going to move it. So we moved it back by the fuel tank, which wasn't that big of a job. So anyway, let me get this new carburetor swapped out. I got to run vacuum lines. I got to put plug wires on it, and I'm going to try to start it like this without the radiator and stuff in it, just to make sure we got the distributor set right. Once I know it's going to run, then we'll go back, we'll put radiator in it, radiator hoses, get some coolant in it, and maybe we'll do a cam break-in on this thing. Okay, so that's where we're at, and back in just a few. All right, so we changed a couple of small items out here, and so like this solenoid was over here on this carburetor, and this is for it's a little fast idle. When you turn the air conditioning on, it bumps this up. So I wanted that on there because I plan on getting the air conditioning running on it. Change the throttle cable mount over to here. Open this up, make sure I had a filter and a seal in there, and there is. And then I've got this label for, this actually came off the air cleaner, for hose routing, which most of this is emissions and not applicable anymore, but a couple of them are. And then they give you a diagram with this of what all these vacuum ports are. So a lot of them are going to get plugged because we're just not using that stuff. But I went ahead and bought the carburetor for an 88 454, and it's almost identical. I thought about going with an older one that didn't have so many vacuum ports, but it's like, if there's something I missed that I might need in there, then I need to hook a vacuum port back up to. I'd rather have it and have a cap on it than not have it. So all right, we're going to get this swapped in there. And, a lot of people don't like Quadrajets, but I've had pretty good luck with them. I don't remember the name of the company I bought this from. It was a rebuilder off of eBay, and I bought from them before and got a pretty good one. If you look back to a video I did way earlier in the year, my buddy Andrew's car, we bought a new Q-Jet and put it on there. It was a 77 Grand Prix. It was Grandpa's car, and it fixed a lot of ailments with it. And I bought other ones off of this company before. I'll pull that out and tell you who that is shortly. But all right, so let's go ahead and get this bolted on, and I'll get my vacuum lines routed, and then we'll take another look. Okay, so plug wires are on, vacuum lines are on. I did turn the key on. I got fuel pump. I let it prime, so let's fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. Where we're at on timing. That's definitely too far advanced. It's dragging. Good. Let's see where get one of these in my oil pressure gauge. One of these is gauge, and one of these is like a kill switch. Still regular oil pressure gauge and see what we got. Okay, it is running. So let's do that, and we'll go ahead and get a radiator put in this thing. Yeah, it's pretty quiet too. So yeah, I've got oil pressure gauges back there. I'm gonna screw one into this port and see what we got. That one didn't move at all, like it didn't have power to it or something. Yeah, got fuel pump. Okay, well let's do that and fire it up again and see what we got. And maybe let's plug the transmission line too. Gosh darn it. All right, let's see what this does. I need to do some carb adjust and time adjust. Before I do any of that, let's get some water in this thing. Before I do any of that, let's clean up this massive transmission mess. Good thing I got a cat, because I got cat litter. So, all right, we're going to do that. And then I am going to go ahead and, let's see. We're going to do that, and then I'm going to go ahead and get the radiator and everything in there and get some coolant in here before we mess with this anymore. And I got, I want to get some separators on the plug wires, and yeah, just kind of get everything tidied and neatened up. I need to get something on the accelerator cable. Well, it needs a return spring for one thing, but it's hitting the exhaust manifold, so I got to tie that back somewhere. So, all right, we'll do that. We'll get some coolant in it. We'll do a cam brake, not really a cam break in. We use the same cam. We'll do a lifter break in, I guess we'll call it, and then we'll see where we go from there. All right, so when I got up this morning and decided I was going to do some more on the camper out here today, this is not quite what I wanted to see, but we're going to do it anyway. So let me show you where we stopped yesterday. Okay, I got everything together, all the hoses on it, got a couple gallons of coolant in it, and I was a little worried when I was running it yesterday. I kind of had some top end noise going on, but after I ran it a little bit, got lifters pumped up, then it quieted down, and sounds better. So I need to I know I need to set the timing, I know I need to adjust the carb, but I'm gonna do the lifter break in first, since we used the original cam. So it's still kind of early out here for me to be firing this thing up and cranking it up to 2 grand for 20 minutes. So I'm gonna hold off for a little bit on that and just I'm gonna get this cab cleaned out. I just got so much junk in here. We're gonna clean this out, and I'm gonna throw that driver's seat back in there, and we're gonna tie all these wires up, get my spark plug wire separators. I know I got a bunch of different ones, and get those on there, and then maybe by that time it'll be a little bit later. But honestly, this thing's pretty quiet with those the mufflers it's got on it, but still running at 2 grand, and I don't think they'll appreciate that. The neighbors will at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, especially the one right next door that's got a baby over there. So I don't want to get the hate mail on Facebook. So we'll get this other stuff done, and then we'll fire this thing up. All right, quick little deal here. One thing I learned on this project is buy in bulk. So I got this at Harbor Freight, 40 hose clamps for $8, I think. And you know what those things are if you go like to the auto parts store and you buy like the little bubble card with 4 clamps on it. So that and this vacuum hoses. This was from Amazon, a whole box of there's 6 different sizes of vacuum hoses, from 1/8 all the way up to 3/8, 5 foot of each, and I think this was right around $20. So like you go to your auto parts store and you buy like a little 2-foot piece of vacuum hose, it's $6-7. So that's good stuff to know. And I'm going to show you something so we looked at this on my other video, trying to figure out why this 350 blew up. So here is the exhaust manifold that was on that thing. This is the air injection system. Look how much of the exhaust is blocked off with that air injection system. How hard a time that engine had breathing on the exit side. Now on the intake side, look at this air breather. So here's the air breather. You had this filter over this mesh steel filter, so you kind of had double filters there, and the mesh one was actually glued to the air cleaner, so it was part of the air cleaners. It don't matter how dirty this gets, it wasn't replaceable. I had a heck of a time getting it off there. And then for air intake, that hole is all you had of air going into that engine. So imagine that 12,000 or 11,000 pound vehicle trying to go uphill. That's all the air it's getting into it at the most, and it's being double restricted here. And then it's being restricted on the outgoing side too. It's no wonder that poor engine was fighting for its life and kablooied like it did. So all that nonsense is gone, and hopefully we're in better shape now. So just a little sidebar here while I'm cleaning up, and I'm gonna get that seat in there, and we'll in a little bit here we'll fire this thing up. Okay, so we did a little air cleaner alteration here. I thought about just buying a performance open air cleaner for that thing, and it's like, why spend the money? You're not even going to see it. It's way back in that thing. So I took this air cleaner and I whacked the snout off, give that more air, and I pried that stupid inner filter off of there, and then I drilled a bunch of holes in the bottom of it so it'll get air from down there. And then also it had these two fittings on there. I'm just going to leave them out and get more air in there, and then one over here. We'll just put the other filter in there. The filter sits on this inner rim, so all the holes are on the outside of the filter, and free airflow. So if you want to do it the cheap way, that's the cheap way to do it. All right, so we are going to do some major cleaning and cleaning up the tool carts and all that stuff in here. This place has turned into a freaking mess doing this camper. So what time we got? 9 o'clock, 9:30, 9 o'clock. We'll wait about an hour, and then we'll go out and put them plug wires on and get that thing fired up. So we'll pick it back up then. All right, so we got all our wires tied up, and I got a temporary tack hooked up, that coolant and radiator. We're gonna fire this thing up, run it at $2,000 for about 20 minutes. Should break those lifters in. And hopefully it'll run cool enough. Got a question though, if anybody on here might know. So on your HEI, this wire is your tack wire, and then that's your ignition wire. Now there's no tack in this thing, so it's not fuel injected, it's not electronic carburetor. It does have a check engine light doing something, which I'm not sure what it is. But does anybody know what that tack wire would be doing? Because there's no computer on this thing that I've found. It's just regular old HEI and standard Q-jets. So I'm kind of curious. And there really wasn't any emission wiring. I mean, there was the wiring going to the two air solenoids for the air pump system. The EGR was a dumb EGR. There's no EGR relay. So it's kind of an oddball for an 88. But anyway, if anybody knows what that wire might be doing, any camper people or whatever, and I've got some documentation on this thing. I'm going to dig back through it and see if maybe there's a wiring diagram or something in there, or see if I can scare one up. But anyway, let's do this. Okay, so we made it through our 20 minutes, and I kept having to shut it off and let it cool off, and I put a fan in front of it. And I'll tell you what, I think this radiator is junk, because this side of the tank is getting hot, that side of the tank is getting lukewarm. And you take the cap off and you look down in there, and there was just a lot of buildup in those tubes. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and just order another radiator for it. I gotta pull this much weight around with that much engine. You know, I want to make sure it stays cool. But we did make it through the break-in period, and it's sounding pretty good. I'm gonna get the timing set on it, get the carb adjusted on it, and I think we'll be in good shape. So I guess that's going to be it for this video. We're going to kind of make it a short one. It's weather's really crappy out here. I got the back drive shaft out. When the guy towed it over here, he just pulled the back of the drive shaft up off of the rear end and zip tied it up to the frame and towed it that way. But the U-joint caps fell off of it. And there's an original U-joint kind of sloppy anyway, so I got a new radiator coming ordered. We're going to get that in there. We're going to get the drive shaft back in there, and then I think we can take this thing for a test drive and see how it's going to do. But I think pretty satisfied so far. So we're gonna call it a video at that. We'll get a word from the Lord, and probably the next video we do is probably going to be back on the truck again, and we'll get back on this once we get some more parts in here, once I get that radiator. So that'll be all for now. Hey everybody, how's it going? So just kind of hanging out here with my buddy Roxy there. She's a little shy. She don't want to look at the camera. She just wants to rub her face on stuff. But appreciate y'all coming along for the video today, and got a lot of good stuff done. I was really happy to hear the motor run, and that it sounds good. Like I said, I've got another radiator ordered for that thing. I probably should have looked in it before, but it has got lots and lots and lots of crust in it, and I don't think you would be able to clean it out. So for what radiators cost nowadays, I can actually order a radiator for that RV with 454 for $160. So, you know, no brainer. So we got that on the way. I actually got a half of another video done of some stuff on the truck. I don't know if I'll get that out this week or next week or not. We've got a few things coming up this coming week. So this one may be it for a week or 10 days. But anyway, on to the important part of the video, and that's the message. And as I was doing my morning reading the last few days, I was reading through the book of Mark and in my apologetics Bible. And I ran across this page, a little article written by Graham Twelftree, who I have no idea who that is, but it's a good article. It's called "What About Gospels Not in Our New Testament?" And I've heard this, seen this online in chat rooms before, where people will say, well, there's other gospels than just the ones in the Bible. And there are some other gospels, but there's very good reason they were not included in the biblical text. So we'll just kind of do a scan through this here. So the 4 gospels in our Bible had all been written by the end of the 1st century. So that is one important fact. So no other known gospels were written by this time. By the last 20 years of the 2nd century, when Irenaeus, the bishop of Lyon, was writing, the 4 gospels had already widely and firmly been established for some time as the only ones accepted by mainstream Christianity. However, many sections of the church did not use all of them. Irenaeus argued that against accepting other gospels, such as there was the gospel of truth, which was alleged to have been written by the Gnostic teacher Valentius. He had said that it had only been written and did not agree in any respect with the gospels of the apostles. And that gospel was more of like a homily or a sermon type. It wasn't like the historical telling of what was going on with Jesus and his miracles and his birth and ministry and death and resurrection and so forth. So it was a totally different form, which is one of the reasons they didn't accept it. There was another gospel called the Gospel of Philip, which was kind of an anthology of sayings. That was more of a more like you would see in Proverbs. You know, it wasn't exactly, it was not a historical account again. And plus, it was written that was written mid 4th century, so you're talking several hundred years later. And there was another couple written around that time, the Gospel of the Egyptians. It was a collection of sayings. The Gospel of Thomas, which was a collection supposedly of the sayings of Jesus, and some may actually be historically authentic, along with very minimal narrative. But because when they looked at this, there were some parallels with the literature of the late 2nd century. So this is at least written a couple hundred years later than the original Gospels. There's some more fanciful type Gospels. The infancy Gospel of Thomas, which talks about Jesus as a child. And there's some other Gospels approximate those in the New Testament. There's a Gospel of Peter, which is mostly missing. We don't know a whole lot about it. A Gospel of the Ebionites, which was from Syria, which is kind of a hodgepodge of Matthew, Mark, and Luke all put together. So it's not original material. It's just kind of a retelling of what's already in those Gospels. And there was a widely produced harmony of all 4 Gospels, the Diatessaron. Bruce would probably correct me on that, which was highly popular in Syria. So we have a handful of evidence from some other Gospels of the 2nd century. One from Clement, which supposedly tells of a secret Gospel of Mark, which we believe to be a modern forgery. The Gospel of the Hebrews. So anyway, and on and it talks some more about some other ones. So there, and a lot of these were what they call Gnostic Gospels. And yeah, we talked about the Gnostic teacher Valentius, which was not really Christianity. It was kind of something else. So I think there's an impression that hundreds or thousands of years ago that the church got together and they had this big stack of books and manuscripts, and they said, well, we'll just kind of pick out the ones that support our case, and we'll put these together and we'll call that the Bible. That is not the case. The Old Testament, as we all know, was already established before Christ was born. That's the base of the Jewish religion. So it was already complete hundreds and hundreds of years before Christ. And then the 4 Gospels we know that are written within 100 years, actually less than 100 years of the death of Jesus. And then when you look at the letters of Peter and Paul, those are just talking about going out and building the church. So if anyone tries to put that argument on you that there's all these other books of the Bible that weren't included in there, there's very good reason for it, and just a little bit of research will uncover that, and you can give a good answer to that. So anyway, I thought that was real interesting, and I thought we would put that in there today. That's the message for today. So let's have a word of prayer, and we'll be done here. Father, I just thank you for today. And Father, I know we've got a big storm coming up in the country across the Midwest and in the East. So just ask anybody who's going to be dealing with this really difficult weather this coming week that you would protect them. And I once again want to thank you for everybody who watches this channel. If there's anybody out there who is not a believer, that you would soften their hearts and touch them and bring them close to you. If there's someone watching this channel that has something going on with their life, whether it be an illness or a financial situation or a relationship situation that they're struggling with, that you would bless them and work with them on that. And I just thank you for the opportunity to have this channel and to minister. And we ask this, we thank you in the name of your precious Son Jesus. Amen. Okay, so hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment. I'll get another one going, like I said, week, 10 days, something like that. I've kind of got part of it done already, but we'll see what happens. Might come sooner, might come later. But thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.